Hi, I'm Stephanie from Deliciously Bold, and today we are going to make bread bowls. It is really, really cold outside, and so I love soup when it's that cold. So I'm going to start by, I've got the water here, and I'm going to warm it up. I want it to be about 110 degrees, but basically when I fill it, it needs to feel not super hot, like it's going to burn me, but it needs to feel like it's going to at least activate the yeast. So while that is going, I've got the yeast that I store in this container, and I'm going to put 2 tablespoons in here. So 2 tablespoons. So I'm just going to put it in there. 1, 2, and then I'm going to pour the water in there that is going to activate that yeast. I do like to clean up while I cook. I like a clean area, so I'm going to go ahead and put this away. I use the Red Star Active Dry Yeast. I don't know. I've not tried experimenting with much other yeast. That's just the one that I've always used. This recipe calls for 2 tablespoons of sugar. I just put it in a bowl. That way you don't have to watch me go into my pantry. So there's the yeast. It calls for 2 teaspoons. No, this one calls for 2 tablespoons or 1 tablespoon of salt. So there's the salt. Oops. And I'm just going to see if it is warm enough. It needs a little bit warmer. It's still kind of lukewarm. So I'll do it for like another 30 seconds. I'm going to add in the oil. And this calls for 2 tablespoons of oil. I like because it's 2 tablespoons of sugar, 2 tablespoons of yeast, 2 tablespoons of oil, and then the 1 tablespoon of salt. So it's kind of an easier one to remember. I don't want to add in the flour until after I have that yeast activated. And I just use all-purpose flour. All right, so we got the oil in there. And let's just see if this is going to be warm enough. I know I use my finger, but it's because I need to make sure it's the right temperature. It's pretty hot, but not so hot that I can't put my finger in there. So then I'm just going to pour that water in there. It's 2½ cups, and it's going to activate the yeast. So right now I can already see that the yeast is starting to be a little bit bubbly that quick, which is pretty cool. So now I'm going to put in 6 cups of flour, and once I put in those 6 cups, I'm just going to put it in the machine and knead it. So let me count out those 6 cups. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So the mixer I am using right here is the Bosch Universal, and it is sold by Nutrimel. I've had this mixer for about 10 years. Absolutely love it. I had the KitchenAid before this mixer, and I ended up burning up about 2 motors on the KitchenAid before finally just getting this one. So I love this mixer just because it lasts so long. So now I'm going to knead this for 10 minutes, and I'm pretty strict. I set the timer for 10 minutes, and I'll show you what the dough looks like in just a minute. If you want to put the lid on it right now, you can. There's a little bit of powder flour coming out. And then I tap the bowl just to make sure anything that got on the side is into the mixture. And there you go, 10 minutes. Let me show you what it looks like. All right, so I'll come back in 10 minutes and I'll show you what we do from there. All right, welcome back. So this has been kneading for 10 minutes, and so now we're going to take it out and we're going to let it rise. I know with my breadsticks, I don't let those rise, but because these are bowls, or with this recipe, I make my breadsticks. I also make my French bread loaves. I'm going to make the bread bowls with it. Because we want to make more of a bowl, more of a bread with this than just the breadsticks, I do let it rise. So I just put a little bit of oil in this bowl, and now I'm going to just kind of move it around. I want to kind of coat that bottom a little bit. And Now I'm gonna just kind of use my hands, put it around, and now I'm going to get the dough out of here, put it in there, flip it over, and it's going to coat basically everything on it. And then we're gonna let it rise for about a half hour or until it's about double in size. It is cold outside my house. I've got it pretty warm, so hopefully it doesn't take as long. But I'm gonna take this out, show my hairs out of it, and then I'm going to put that in the oil-coated bowl. Here we go. And now I'm going to take this and I'm just going to take the dough, flip it over, and now I'm going to grab a towel and cover it and let it rise for about a half hour to 45 minutes, and then I'll see you back. So when we're done here, this is going to end up making about 8 bread bowls, and they're such good bread bowls. So I'm excited to share this with you. We're also going to make the soup. I'll probably do that in a separate video, but it's just you're going to love these. So we'll see you back. All right, I let the dough rise for about 45 minutes, so let's take a look. And it is beautiful. It's risen in size. So what I'm going to do now is actually, I need to get a little bit of oil on my hands, but I am going to weigh how much dough I have because I'm going to make 8 of these. So let me grab some oil. Actually, we've got oil right here in there, so I am going to just kind of grab this dough, move it around, and now it's deflating. It's kind of satisfying. But I'm going to take this, I've got this in grams, and I want to just weigh how much dough I have. Usually it, in each one of these bread bowls is 200 grams, but really it depends on how well did I accurately weigh that flour when I was putting it in. And so we are at 1,600, which is, I mean, it's actually, it says 1,593. So I'm going to take that number, divide it by 8, which gives me about 200 of these. 200 grams of each of these. So I'm just going to pinch it right there, and I should be able to get 4 of them out of this. So, and if it's not exactly, it's okay, but I want this to be, it's 230, so if I let it go that much, they're not all going to be even. Here we go. It is at 207. Take a little bit more, and we are exactly 200. Now that's pretty cool. So now what I'm going to do, and I'm just going to show you how I do all of these. Just going to see how I'm just taking it, and I'm kind of just putting it into the center. See how it looks like right there? It's not pretty on that side, but that's okay because we are just going to form these, and you'll be able to watch me do all 8 of them. And I'm going to just form that, kind of pinch it into the center, and try to have it as smooth as you can. If it's not smooth, you just want to keep just kind of molding it with your hands like that. See how I'm just pinching it into the center? And then when it looks smooth like that, I'm just going to grab it all, bring it into the center like that. And I just have my baking sheets lined with parchment paper, and I'm going to put it right there. That's it. So now let's go for the next one. Pinch it off right there. Hopefully that's about 200. It looks like it's 175. So I'm going to add a little bit more dough to it. That puts it at 202. And I'm going to take this, because it's an add-on, I'm going to put it in the center, and then I'm just going to take this and mold it like that. All right. One of the problems I have in my house right now is we are in the South, and I am getting like these winter storm warnings on my electronic devices, and it's saying that it's just going to be super cold. So my house, I have the heater on, but it's still a little bit cold. If your house is like that, it's a little bit cold, you can always turn your oven on and then put the dough, you know, the cookie sheets on top of your oven, and it will make it warmer so that the dough will rise better. So basically what we're doing, we have made the dough. We let it do its first rise. We're going to form these into the bread bowls, and I probably could fit like 6 of them on the cookie sheet. I don't want these to touch because I want them to be completely rounded and uniform, and when they're going to rise in just a minute, we're going to let them rise. And so I'm just going to put 4 on each of these, and then we're going to let them rise for about probably another 45 minutes. It could be a half hour. That's 194. I'm going to add a little bit more in there. So now we're at 198. Good enough. Let them rise for about another half hour to 45 minutes. It really just depends on how cold your house is. I think I keep mine at about 70, 72 degrees. I like the south, I like the warmth, and so I like my house warm. But here's the other one. And if you want to, you can always just roll it in your hands, just whatever you do to get it smooth. But now we've got 4. I think I'm actually going to kind of stagger these a little bit so that they, when they rise up, they're not going to touch. And now we need 4 more of them. Here we go. And when we end up cooking these, so as soon as I'm done forming these while they do that rise, that's when I'm going to make the soup, because when I cook these, I'm going to cook them at a little bit hotter temperature, and they only go for 15 minutes. And so the soup that I'm going to make, I plan on making broccoli cheddar soup. It's a little bit different. It's got some Worcestershire sauce, I know I say that wrong, in it, but it takes a little bit longer than the 15 minutes. And so I want to have the soup ready when I pull these out of the oven. So yeah, I definitely need more in that one. I'm trying to think what other tips and tricks are interesting to you. I use all-purpose flour. I buy it at Costco, just in the big 25-gallon bags. I put them into these, I need to pull it up and show you, but not while my hands are in the dough. But I put them in 6-gallon buckets. One time I bought oats or something from Costco, which I feel like Costco is a pretty good place, and it had something in it like weevils, and it totally ruined my entire pantry. Had to throw everything out, and ever since then I make sure that I store everything in, I like to call it bug-proof containers. That way if somebody happens to sell, I buy something from somebody that has the weevils or whatever in it, I don't have to end up throwing out my entire pantry. Cereal is notorious for having bug problems, so that's kind of annoying. But so what we're going to do with these in a minute after they've risen, I am going to take just my bread knife, and we are going to score the top of these. I actually have no idea why we do that. It's pretty. I don't know that it's necessary. I just have always done it. Every video I've ever watched to do it, that's what they do. So that's what I do. We're also going to take an egg, and we're going to whisk it, and we're going to brush that egg over the tops of these. It's going to have it kind of like a little harder shell. That way it doesn't absorb all the soup and make holes in it and go through. It just kind of gives it a protective coating. So after we do it with the egg, we score it. We put it in a 400-degree oven and cook it for about 15 minutes. And then they're ready to serve up. All right, I have my bread bowls formed. I can already tell these are rising. That means my temperature in my house is good. They're not going to completely double in size when we rise, but that's okay. This one I can see that it's not quite, let me show you. See how it's not that pretty? So I'm just going to kind of try to make it pretty. It doesn't matter because we're going to eat these. My kids, my husband, they are not going to even notice if it's not pretty. I am the only one that would even notice that. But all right, there we go. We have bread bowls that are rising that we're going to throw into the oven. And I'm so excited because I'm going to start that soup right now because I want it to be done when the rolls come out, when the bread bowls come out and are done. When the bread bowls come out, I'm going to slice the top off, scoop out the innards, put it on the side of the plate, fill it up with the soup, and then we're going to eat together. So, all right, we will see you back in about 30 minutes to 45 minutes, and we'll do the whole egg and scoring and baking process. All right, back in a minute. All right, welcome back. These have been rising for a little bit longer, probably about 45 minutes, almost to an hour. We had some great news. School has been canceled because it's so cold, but But anyway, so this is what they look like when they have risen for about 45 minutes. And while these were going, I was able to get this broccoli cheddar soup made. So I'm going to get a bowl, and I'm going to put an egg in here because I'm going to brush that egg over. And then I'm just going to take a fork, and I'm going to whisk this. And I'm just whisking a whole egg, that's all, nothing more to it than just that. Put it down right there. And then I just have one of these silicone brushes, and I'm just going to take that egg mixture and I'm going to brush it all over there. This is the part where I always get nervous, and I don't know why, but I feel like I'm going to deflate these bowls. I've never deflated it. Watch me deflate it since I'm making a video on it, but it has never happened. And so what you got to do is these things are going to rise up, and that underneath stuff right there towards the very where it's touching that the parchment paper, that stuff will basically become exposed. And so I want to go around and make sure that I am covering every little piece of these bread bowls. So every inch of it, every centimeter of it. See how I'm going right around there in the edge? And it's just an egg. I didn't add water to it. I didn't add butter to it, but it gives these such a nice golden brown. And sometimes I score it before I cover it. Sometimes I score it after I cover it with the egg wash, but this time I'm going to do it afterwards. The egg wash is what really makes these things go wow. There we go. We got those 4 done. You can just kind of see where the egg has gotten on it because it's shiny when the egg touches it, and it's just going to give it such a nice, beautiful, crispy, these things are gorgeous when they're done. Unless I somehow manage to deflate one of these, which, yeah, I still haven't, so you would think that I wouldn't be nervous at this point, but I am. And I've made enough of these that you would think that I would have, and why on earth would I be nervous for it, but I am. And that broccoli cheddar soup, you know what I didn't do? I didn't preheat the oven. I need that oven preheated before I get done. Maybe that means I need to work a little slower here. I'm not very good at working slow. I've always got 100 things going on in my head. Things that I want to do, things that I want to get done. I just love to go and do, and so it's kind of fun to be thinking about all the stuff I want to do and plan and prepare, but since school is not going to happen because we're getting too cold and we're not equipped for the roads, means I have some more days to enjoy being home with my family. All right, I do have some of the egg mixture left. I didn't quite use it all. Not mixture, just eggs being mixed. Just gonna see, I think I got everything covered everywhere. Pretty sure that I do. So now is the fun part. I just have this is my bread knife. It's a Cutco bread knife. I got these probably 20 more years ago, and they're still in really good shape. But I'm just gonna take this, it's got that serrated edge, and just barely touch along the top, just barely. And then from this angle, I'm just kind of making a little plus sign, barely touching it. And then when you put these in the oven, they're just going to poof up and be amazing. I just like how this makes these pretty. There's got to be a point to doing it. I just don't know what the point is, other than it's fun. I'm going to move these carefully. And we have them done. So as soon as my oven is hot, I will move these into there. It heats up pretty quick. Okay, the oven is up to heat at 400 degrees. I'm ready to put these in for 15 minutes. I do notice that some of these are kind of close to the edge. The only thing is I am not touching that, because I can guarantee if I was to try to pick it up and move it so it's not close to the edge, I would successfully deflate it. Don't want to do that. So I'm going to put these in the oven for 15 minutes at 400 degrees. It is a convection oven, and that means I can put them on anywhere in here because the whole entire oven is the same temperature. Whereas if it was just a regular oven, the one that's closest to the bottom would get brown on the bottom. So you don't want to do that if you have just a regular oven. Mine does both. One's convection and one's just a regular oven. And so we're good to go. So I will come back in about 15 minutes and we will see how these bread bowls turn out. Okay, time to take these out. All right, here we go. Let's look at these beauties. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Those are beautiful. There you go. So we could cut it to them right now. However, if you just let them set for a minute, that dough that's inside should be all the way cooked through. But just to make sure it's all the way cooked through, we're going to wait about 5-10 minutes before we cut into these. And then we're going to pull out those centers and fill them with that delicious soup that is ready to go. So I'm going to come back in about 5 minutes and we will cut into those. All right, guys, you ready for some bread bowls? Let's do this. Okay, first thing, I'm going to get this platter and I'm going to take the bread bowls. Oh, they're kind of soft, but they kind of have that firmness to it because of the egg wash. I'm just going to take these. They're still hot, but not too hot, to carefully lift them up. All right, so I didn't space those very well. It's been about 10 minutes since I took them out of the oven. And then I'm going to take these and wash them. Move that soup. Grab a plate, and then I need that bread knife. This is a bread knife I had earlier. I need to move this soup. It's covering up our work of art. All right, so I'm going to take this bread bowl and I'm going to just cut off the top. Oh yeah. I'm going to take that top and now I'm just going to scoop out the center. It's still kind of hot. I probably should have waited a lot longer, but it's so good. It's a little bit hot. Okay, it's a lot hot. Yeah, you can just scoop that out. You can see the steam coming out. It's kind of hot. Yeah, if I just had a little more patience. Okay, so here is the bread bowl. And now I'm going to take this soup. I'm going to grab my soup scooper thingy, and I'm going to take the soup. I'm going to fill that up, add a little bit more, and oh yeah, look at that. And now we could put this lid back on and then see how that looks so pretty for like a picture. I like to put these around, arrange it, but now we are good to go. So there you have it, bread bowls. If you want to serve these up, you can cut all the tops off for them. You can let people do that. Let them scoop it out themselves. But usually I probably waited 10 minutes from when I took them out of the oven. Probably wait a little bit longer to serve them up because that bread was so hot. But this stuff, yeah, it was pretty good. It's pretty good. And I'm going to grab a spoon and I'm going to taste this. So this is where, I'm going to take that back off, but this is where I take that. That soup is good. It's even good if you wanted to take like this, dip it in there. That is good too. What I love about bread bowls, once that soup's done, then you just get to eat the bowl and it's just so good. And because these are homemade, the calorie, I put it into my FitnessPal before, and the calorie count was not that high just because they're homemade, and so there's not as much oils and stuff in there that they have to do for commercial kind. But anyway, there you go. Let me know if you have any questions.